Hi there, and welcome back to Homegrown Small Town. I'm Lindsay, and today I thought I would touch on a little topic that might be interest to some of you. You see, maybe pandemic year 2 means that you now have the inkling to possibly grow a garden, but you really don't know where to start. Well, let me give you some guidance in that. There's basically 2 formats of gardening. You can have the traditional garden, which is like this, or a newer garden, which was inspired by the square foot gardening trend of about 2000, is the raised bed gardens. I personally have the both, but here's the raised bed garden, for example. My parents always had a traditional garden. Yours probably did too, and so did your grandparents. This raised bed thing is just something that's kind of happened the last 20 years. So when I saw my parents gardening, I assumed with their traditional garden, because they got it done and they had loads of produce, I assumed that it was easy. I was very mistaken. When I started out, I took over their garden because I live in the same house as where I grew up, and I planted my garden. I was super ambitious and planted everything, and then the weeds took over and I could not keep up. I mean, at this point, I was childless. I was this unmarried, not a mother, and somehow I could not keep this garden under control, and it became just a massive amount of weeds. But here's the thing. If you aren't an experienced gardener, and if you've never done it before, a large square footage of plot of dirt that you have to suddenly take care of can be very overwhelming. So I literally sodded the whole thing over and just assumed I was not a gardener. I was so discouraged. But then as years gone by, and I still loved growing things and got to do it in the turf industry, I wanted to have my hand at gardening again. It was something that growing things is something that I'm passionate about, but I couldn't do it in the gardening sense as far as vegetables go. Then Ryan made me a couple raised beds, 2. So this is probably, 10 years ago. He made me a couple raised beds, and I have not looked back since. This smaller square footage was way more manageable, and I had grown in confidence because all of a sudden I could manage my own small garden. So if you're starting out, it's not that you can't do a traditional garden. I'm just saying that I would highly recommend starting with 2 small or 4 small garden boxes. It's just way more manageable. And with that management and that success that you'll see, all of a sudden your confidence will grow. And when your confidence grows, so does your garden. The next thing you know is that you'll want more garden boxes, and then more. And then you'll realize you need more square footage and maybe have a small traditional garden. I'm telling you, it just gets bigger and bigger. But don't start too big. Work your way up to it. You do not want to get overwhelmed. Learn, and as you learn, do the next step. And that next step is growing your garden. But for now, make it manageable. We're already in really weird times. Don't put stress on yourself. Instead, enjoy the benefits of gardening. It's a stress reliever. It's great exercise. You're getting fresh air. It's a great family activity. Or maybe it's just some you time. But don't add the stress of going too big too quickly. Just start off small. Start with a couple garden boxes this year and then see where it takes you next year. But I have a feeling as your confidence grows, so will that square footage of your vegetable growing space. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. I'm looking forward to coming back and talking to you about what you should plant in those garden boxes. You're limited in space, which means you have to be a little bit choosy about what you actually plant that first year. But that's in an episode to come. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.